product of both Denver and Aurora public schools, he understands the plight that faces many of our inner city young men. His passion and his enthusiasm for inspiring young men to be their best selves through practical, applicable social leadership training is evident. A graduate of Aurora Central High School and University of Northern Colorado, he was elected the student body president on both levels. Notably, the third African American president in UNC's 120-year history. Because of his success on Student Representative Council, he was placed on a full-ride academic scholarship during his tenure on SRC. Jalen Johnson.
Mr. Rico, as is affectionately described by his students, is known for his passionate and riveting lectures. Students and staff have been quoted saying, walking past a YMOP session, I could hear a pin drop. His attributes, his rigor and veracity in needing to place knowledge of self in young men he mentors. Over the past 7 years, YMOP has been able to influence over 750 young men throughout the Denver metro area. Rico has a tremendous love for young people and wants to see them unlock their potential. He believes in the mission of young men of purpose because young men with confidence are heading towards their purpose. Please join me in welcoming our guest of honor, Mr. Rico Wint.
Well, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Man, that resume sounded almost impressive. No, I'm just so excited to be here today. And I remember when Mr. Rosa asked me to be the speaker. And I was like, huh? You said, yeah, you, Rico. I said, what? So I said, well, what in the world can I say to Vista Peak High School, the class of 2016? So I started thinking about it. I said, these young people are in a transition in life right now. They're about to accept their diplomas and become graduates of Vista Peak High School, going on to do all kinds of wonderful things in life. And I said, well, what can I talk to them about? I said, well, maybe I should talk to them about a time that I had a very, very impactful transition in my life. You see, guys, I met Mr. Rosa my senior year at Aurora Central High School. He had to have been about 26, 7 years old, I guess. And I was like, who's this young, spunky teacher guy that they brought into Aurora Central, right? But at the time, Mr. Rosa didn't know that I was a year and a half past burying my father to colon cancer 2 weeks before Christmas. Now, the thing about that was I was extremely angry. I was very frustrated. I didn't know why I felt God allowed my father to be taken away from me. But I think about this story that my pastor told me, and I'd like to share that with you guys today. One more quick lesson, okay? I think about, Pastor Combs told me a story about a young man who lived a long time ago in a tent. And he was going about his daily duties, and he heard a voice out of nowhere. And the voice said, do you trust me? So immediately he feels a connection to the voice, and he says, well, yeah, I trust you. The voice says, get up and go to a place that I'm going to show you. Get up and just start walking, right? So he does it. He gets up, he leaves everything behind, he starts walking. He's going over deserts and streams and over through the forest and through the brush and all these different places he's going through. And he finally arrives at this gigantic mountain, right? And the voice says, do you still trust me? And he says, yeah, I trust you. So he says, keep going through the mountain, go a little further. So he's going up, he's weaving his way through this mountain. And finally he gets to a flat table part of the mountain with a gigantic boulder sitting in the middle of it. The voice says, go up to the boulder, right? So he's like, okay. So the guy's like, he's finally here after all this walking, after all this time. And he's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do now? And the voice says, I want you to push against it. He's like, okay, cool, great. You want me to move the boulder? Got you, right? And he starts pushing against this boulder. And he's pushing and he's pushing and he's pushing and then he turns his legs and he pushes and pushes. He does this, guys, for weeks. He does it for months. Finally, some friends track him down, find him. They find him pushing against this boulder. And they say, man, what in the world are you doing? He said, I heard a voice that told me to push against this boulder. And he said, man, you're crazy. Voices told you, man, come back home. Come back with us, man. We'll act like it never happened. And so they finally leave, right? And he continues to push. He doesn't, I don't care what anybody says. I know this voice told me to push against it. Guys, the boulder hasn't moved, not even a millimeter. Finally, embarrassed, humiliated, depressed and sad, he collapses on the ground and starts crying. He looks up to heaven and says, you told me to push against this boulder. You got me out here looking crazy. This hasn't even moved. The voice says, are you finished? Yeah. He said, stand up. The voice says, stand up. He says, take your eyes off the boulder for 1 minute and look down at your body. He looks down and he's huge. He's ripped, he's so strong. Because oftentimes what we do in life, young people, we take things that are not necessarily supposed to move, but they're supposed to move us. There are things that are supposed to not necessarily supposed to change, but they're supposed to change us. He thought he was supposed to move the boulder, but that was never the case. So that boulder for you in your life could be having a parent or a loved one that passes away. That boulder for you in your life could be maybe not having all the finances you needed, or you feel that you need to be successful. But guys, some boulders don't change. They're designed to change you. And if you can make sure that you take the poison and turn it into fuel, you'll be successful. So guys, I come here to say, just in my parting words, when life gets hard, and it will. When the military gets hard, those that are going to the military to serve in our armed forces, and it will. If you ever get fired from a job, and you might, if you have to work 3 jobs to keep the lights on, in this economy, that might happen. Remember that some boulders are not meant to be changed. They're there to change you. So I want to say, God bless you, and congratulations, Vista Peak High School class of 2016.